This book is so bad. I need to put it down and step away. Preferably not return. Warning, this book may cause you brain cell loss. Warning, this book may cause you unhappiness. This video should be called The Unraveling of My Mental Stability. Hi everyone, I have gathered you here today to vent my frustrations and my hate for this specific book called The Love Hypothesis by Hazelwood. I feel like I have to do this now, but here's a disclaimer, because the girlies were down my throat when I was talking about how I didn't like this book on Reddit and on TikTok. If you like this book, I'm so happy for you. This is me being very condescending. I'm so happy that you like this book. Good on you. I'm just gonna say what so many people are not saying, and it's that this is not a good book. It's not fun, it's not cute, it's not quirky. And I really want to get to the real meat of things as to why this is not a good book and why I'm tired of TikTok recommending me really poorly written romance novels, specifically contemporary romance novels. I don't know what's going on. All pieces of art, all pieces of work are open to criticism, specifically when it comes in the form of literary works. They're open to criticism, and that is exactly what I'm going to do today. My criticism is just going to be bordering on hate. Therefore, it's not really criticism. But first of all, I do want to address that I am not, in fact, in a jail cell. I am in a room that is not in a prison. But this is the situation that we have to work with. I am moving out soon. No one cares, but I just wanted to put that out there in case you were, feeling judgmental and feeling the need to pick things out. I just want to quickly, briefly touch on my history as a snob. I have a very soft spot in my heart for books and literary media. I've been reading since I was 4. Humble brag, no one cares. I was that voracious reader that you've heard about. I was that girl. So because of all my history and my long extended history with reading, I have become somewhat of a snob when it comes to books and when it comes to author writing styles, when it comes to how an author decides to portray the plot of their book. So I'm specifically bringing this up because I know that there are a lot of people who might have started reading or really gotten into reading a lot later in life and maybe have not read so many books that they're able to think more critically about what they're reading, and so they might be able to enjoy a book that a lot of people might see is really poorly written. So I'm not coming for you guys, okay? I'm saying all of this to say that you are entitled to liking this book. I'm entitled to say this is a really poor book, and I'm going to be listing the reasons as to why. Overall, I feel like this book ranked as a mid-tier Wattpad book written by me in 8th grade when I was 12 years old. This is the highest it could be rated as. Also, I'm a huge fan of romance books. I'd say 80% of the book, genres that I consume have romance in it and have to do somehow, in some way, with romance. I love enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, billionaire contract love, like you have to do this. I love the fake boyfriend trope, which is what this book is about, by the way. I love all of that. I eat it up. My issue with the book was not the fake boyfriend trope. I feel like there are many good ways to make that trope work. This was just not one of it. The reason why I picked up this book was not only were the TikTok girlies hyping the fuck out of this book, like there's a specific hijabi creator. I think I actually follow her on Goodreads. Her name is Amen. I'm not calling her out or anything. I just want to bring to you how I found this book, how I crossed paths with this book. In college, I've always been a voracious reader, and that kind of dwindled off. And so I was really looking forward to reading something that I felt like would get me back into the swing of things, just like a light, easy read. So when everybody was hyping I'm telling you, 5-star reviews everywhere. People are handing out handing out 5 stars like it's a monopoly money. I don't understand. I feel like book readers already see themselves in a pretentious, like, superior standard compared to other people who enjoy different media forms. We need to be more specific about the books that we just give out 5 stars to, because this is a crime. It really is. At a certain point, it was a 4.5 or higher on Goodreads. Goodreads already, to me, I don't trust their rating systems because it's very, very skewed. It was almost at a 5-star, guys, altogether. This is a problem. Grab onto your seats. If you're near someone, grab onto their wrists. Just really try to stay grounded and get ready for this roller coaster that we're about to go on. I'm sorry, I'm living with literal crackheads. Literal crackheads. My first issue with the book started out, quite early, which was the stupidest way I've ever seen a contracted fake relationship be carried out. Not only does it just not make logical sense, but the author points it out through the characters as to how illogical it is. Gather around, children. Let me explain. Beginning in the prologue, apparently Olive and Adam, they had already previously met in one of the stupidest ways I've ever seen written. She had previously stumbled into a random bathroom because she'd been crying with her expired contacts in. So the thing is that she couldn't see very well. So she eventually has to take out her expired contacts while Adam was disposing of reagents and chemicals into the sink, because it's his lab bathroom and not like a public bathroom that anyone can go in. Originally, when I had first read the book, I thought Olive had ran into the bathroom and into a stall, and I thought everything took place through the stall until like she came out. What actually happened, I feel like, is worse than what I thought I read. Adam goes ahead and asks her why she's crying in the bathroom, to which she replies, and I quote, "Oh, I'm not crying. Well, I sort of am, but it's just tears, you know." You guys may be thinking, what's wrong with that? It inexplicably makes me furious when people try to write humor into books and they just miss. They just miss. The goal is right here. They're all the way over here. In fact, they're all the way back here. They haven't even reached it. Moving on, because when I tell you, having to reread and put myself through the harm and the danger of reading this book just to make this video, it truly is painful. I deserve an award. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but authors, specifically female authors, specifically contemporary romance focused female authors, love making their female main character this like itsy bitsy tiny girl, and making the main male character into this giant man. And not only that, but they expound on how their height differences make the girl feel so small and dainty and so cute and tiny. And it's mind-blowing. I just want to say that the author does make the main girl character 5'8", so she's relatively tall. I mean, I'm 5'8", and I rarely meet men that are taller than me or like super tall, so I understand. But what are we doing? Come. What are we doing? Overly, excessively mentioning how large and big and tall and how his hands are so big and like, what are we doing? This trope is done. It's tired. This is a reason why I like Talia Hibbert's books, at least the Brown Sister series that I read, because it's dealing with characters and body shapes and body types that we're not used to reading about in romance books and romance novels. She's not overly expounding on the same tropes that we all know about. It's tired. We see this tall trope that I like to call it a tall trope. I don't know. While Olive is unable to see because of her expired contacts, because she's a poor, broke grad student, she says, "Oh my God, he must be really tall." His voice sounded like it came from 10 feet above her. I'm like genuinely looking towards the heavens, hoping someone can save me. You're telling me that a girl who is, her contacts are out, she's not legally blind, like she can still see like shadows and stuff. This is why I said, like, when I originally read the book and I thought that they were doing this through a stall, like, I thought she was in a stall and he was like outside pouring his chemicals down the drain. I thought, okay, well, at least that makes sense because she's not able to see him. You're telling me that while standing in front of him, he must be really tall. His voice sounded like he came from 10 feet above her. Come on. You can't see the person that's in front of you and like gauge the distance. He has to be 10 feet tall. You guys might be thinking I'm over exaggerating like how irritating this is, but this continues throughout the entire book. If there's one thing that I hate the most when it comes to writing styles from author is when they use lazy ways to further the plot along. This can be seen when an author gets out of creating a meaningful description of how, just like physicalities of how their main character looks. So they do a scene where the main character looks into a mirror and describes everything she's seeing. There's just been like very few times when that has been done well. We see that in this book when the author uses miscommunication, misunderstandings, not allowing the characters to finish what they're saying. We see this in TV shows too. And just like the lazy writing in movies where it's like misunderstandings that could have been easily resolved occur just so that the plot can move along. And just so the author doesn't have to do any more brain work and think of how they could plausibly and realistically create a scenario in which their main plot can occur. Yet again, we have another dastardly explanation of how huge and big Adam is. And we see this when he says, the hand that closed around hers was dry and warm and so large it could have enveloped her whole fist. Everything about him must be huge. Height, fingers, voice. It was not entirely unpleasant. Is that like supposed to be some sort of like innuendo? Like, what are we doing? In the first official chapter, we get more descriptions on how big and large and huge Adam is. God, please, somebody save me. It starts out with them kissing and basically introduces the audience and the readers as to how they got into that situation. It's the way I'm subjecting myself to this. Like, nobody asked me. Nobody said, hey, make a video about this book, but I did this to myself, so I'm not blaming anyone. We're officially introduced to Adam, who is apparently this just like mean, hard-ass, strict professor that everyone hates in the biology department, which is where Olive is doing her PhD in or whatever. After a lot of asking, Olive basically gives into Adam when he's asking like, why did you kiss me? She says that her best friend Anne had a crush on Olive's ex-boyfriend Jeremy and she wanted them to date without feeling guilty. Basically, Olive says that she never really liked Jeremy, and when they were on a date, Jeremy and Anne were basically flirting the entire time, and she saw that they truly were like meant to be together. And the moment that Jeremy and Olive broke up, Jeremy went ahead and asked Anne out, but she didn't accept because she didn't want to be a bad friend and felt guilty for liking her best friend's ex-boyfriend. That's the whole thing, guys. So apparently Olive had told Anne that she had a date that same night, but instead she went to the lab to do some work. And then while she was at the lab, Anne had come in and was like walking by. And so Olive thought the next best thing to do was grab the closest person to her, which was the professor, aka Adam, and whisper under her breath, can I kiss you? But apparently Adam didn't hear and ended up kissing this guy in order to make it look like she was on a date with him so that Anne wouldn't know that she lied to her. I genuinely am getting brain aneurysms. How does that make any sense? None of these situations are plausible. None of them are realistic. And the author addresses this through the characters in the book by allowing Adam to point it out. He says, so you kissed the first person you saw in the hallway. Perfectly logical. Let's move on to the next chapter. I've decided I'm not gonna go through this chapter by chapter because I don't want brain issues. So in the second chapter, we get to see that Olive is actually looking for a position in a new lab with a professor in Harvard because her professor is running out of research funds and will not be able to help her continue her research lab in pancreatic cancer. I mention this because the guy, his name is Tom Benton, and he's going to be important towards the end. Remember the name Tom Benton. Anne appears, and this is the first time we're introduced to Anne. Of course, the author goes on this long, stupid, dick-sucking spiel on how Anne is the best thing that's ever happened to Olive. Basically, Olive is characterized to be this extremely naive, sheltered person but in the same vein is extremely entitled, it seems like, and just very unpleasant and annoying, and I just hated reading from her perspective. This brings my next issue. This is a very petty thing, but I don't know if I'm the only girl. I've talked to it with my friends, and they agree with me. The way authors consistently introduce, befriend, and the friend calls the main character by a nickname to show that they're truly friends, and there's no other way to show that you're a close friend with someone than by calling them a nickname. And the nickname in question, instead of calling her Olive, it's All. O-L. The quote in question, Anne frowned. All. I saw you. I saw you with Carlson. You know that I saw you, and I know that you know that I saw you because you've been avoiding me. All. We're not even gonna get to the rest of the sentence. It's desperately trying to be funny. Not Ollie, not even Liv, but O-L. Because a 2-syllable name like Olive is so difficult, and you need to have a nickname for it. The most inane nicknames that make no sense, that add no depth to the character, that show nothing. I'm not gonna rant on this too much. Just know that the word all continues throughout the book because Anna is such a close friend to Olive that she has to call her by a 2-letter name. Olive lacks depth. Also, the entire cast, I'm gonna call them cast, the entire cast of this book is one-dimensional, flat, boring. The author tries to create some depth by, spoiler, saying that, you know, Olive's mother died of cancer or something like that. The author also tries to create some sort of depth towards the end by allowing the Harvard professor Tom Benton to force himself on Olive. There are different ways to create depth to a character than having to make the character go through assault situations or go through coercive situations with abusive people. The dialogue scenes in this book are boring. Endless droves of just nonsense. I need to calm down. I really do. She also notes that how her and Anne ended up being close was that they were the only two non-cis white male students in their year. This book is beating my spirit down. I'm not even yelling. I'm not even loud anymore. I can't even be that anymore because my spirit is broken. Please stop pretending like white women in academia, in research labs, do not have a step up than women of color. They can connect because, okay, they're the only 2 women, but please stop acting like it's the same. And the author continuously makes Olive out to be this poor me, like boohoo me, I have it so hard, blah, blah, blah. Stop. And I'm not saying like you as a white person or you as a white character can't have issues. Of course you can. But in this specific scenario, I'm gonna just speak from Olive's point, is trying to draw a similarity between her and her friend Anne. I'm guessing that Anne is supposed to be Asian and also supposed to be Vietnamese, just by the name, spelling. I could be wrong, I don't know. This is not Oppressive Olympics, but it's not the same. Olive goes ahead and continues to lie to Anne because apparently, despite them being so close and, you know, being best buddies, this is a lip gloss, by the way, not a vape, she can't apparently clear up this misunderstanding. I'm just trying to like literally put myself in this position. If I was friends with someone who I considered my closest best friend, there wouldn't be a vein in me that feels like I would need to lie about who I'm dating in order to make the other person feel better. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. She doesn't clear up this misunderstanding, and in fact goes on and, you know, sticks by it and says, yes, I am dating him, and not only that, but you can date Jeremy and be free like a bird. Do what you want. This time Anne blushed outright. She looked down at her hands, picked at her fingernails, and then she began to fiddle with the hem of her shorts before saying, I don't know, maybe. I mean, if you really think that. You're disgusting. You are. You are. Moving on. Eventually, Olive and Adam gather to create the rules of their dating. This entire scene was boring, yawn-inducing, cringy, hard to read, uncomfortable, and let's get into it. First rule is that they wanted it to be an on-campus arrangement, so not something where like they have to go to Christmas dinners with each other or celebrate Hanukkah, like they brought up in an effort to be funny. The author put that in. The second one was so random and so awkwardly brought up, is no sex, to which it was drawn out, like literally goes on for paragraphs of the author describing Olive to be relatively inexperienced. The third rule is that Olive says she wouldn't date in real life because she just felt like it would be too much. She said that Adam could date, but that he should try and keep it a secret. He says he's not gonna date, and they're like, okay, and that's it, okay? Fourth rule is that in a month's time, they will end things. Now, I did mention this before, but the reason why Adam went ahead and accepted this fake boyfriend agreement was that it was supposed to be mutually beneficial. Basically, he was considered by the department a flight risk, which means that his position wasn't stable enough because they felt like he would just jump ship and go to another university to work with them. So by him having a girlfriend, it is supposedly supposed to cement his place in the university at Stanford, which I think is ridiculous, and it's not a strong enough binding reason, but that's just me. I don't know. And Adam and Olive go to a research conference or talk or whatever. Apparently there are no seats. The entire thing is full. Adam stands up and says, hey, you can sit in my seat, or something like that. And also is the author's scapegoat into making really weird and uncomfortable situations happen as a way of progressing physical and tension between both Olive and Adam. It's really weird. It's really juvenile. I can't even take this book seriously. I cannot take it seriously. It feels like I'm reading a Wattpad book. Actually, that would be a terrible idea, Anne interjected. Her eyes were darting between Olive and Adam. No offense, Dr. Carlson, but you are 3 times larger than Olive. If you stand, the room's gonna burst. But, she continued, this time looking at Olive, it'd be great if you could do me a solid and sit on your boyfriend's lap, Ol. Just so I don't have to stand on my toes? Anne, I don't think this is a good idea. Anne gave her a look. Why? You're taking up space we don't have. And it's only logical that you use Carlson as a chair. I would, but he's your boyfriend, not mine. Anne apparently forces our good old girl Olive into sitting on Adam's lap. She was gonna murder Anne for this, slowly, maybe painfully too. This is also like another awful, sad attempt at being funny and, you know, best friend decide. And she was A-okay with it. He was so tall. Her mouth was not quite level with his ear. This video should be called The Unraveling of My Mental Stability. Also, after the conference, because Adam is so strong and tall and big and muscular, he pushes a Henley out of the way because there's like traffic after the convention or conference or whatever the fuck this is. I don't know. And again, in the most 6th grade-esque way, says, why don't you go give your boyfriend a kiss for pushing that car out of the way? Dude, he just moved a truck by himself on uphill ground. He deserves a damn kiss. Anne shoved Olive and made a shooing motion. And so now she has to kiss him. So sad. We move on to the department picnic, where Anne gives Olive way too much sunscreen lotion. Like, she puts so much, she apparently has like globs of sunscreen in her hand. And at the department picnic, Adam is shirtless. So Anne tells, why don't you go and put sunscreen on Adam? Then Olive is like, no, blah, blah, blah. Also, another thing that's so irritating is when authors try to make like their characters smart by saying outright, this person is smart. Not showing it, not like letting other people show it, but by saying, I'm smart. Just like someone saying that they're like super kind and super giving. In the span of a microsecond, Olive's entire brain burst into flames and then crumbled into a pile of ashes. Just like that. 100 billion neurons, 1,000 billion glial... Fuck, I can't speak. Just like that. 100 billion neurons, 1,000 billion glial cells, and who knew how many milliliters of cerebrospinal fluid just ceased to exist. The rest of her body was not doing very well either, since Olive could feel all her organs shut down in real time. From the very beginning of her acquaintance with Adam, there had been about 10 instances of Olive wishing to drop dead on the spot, for the earth to open up and swallow her whole, for a cataclysm to hit and spare her from the embarrassment of their interactions. This time, though, it felt as though the end of the world might happen for real. Shut up. To which she then gets to like talk about his muscles and his back and how sexy and hot he is, and it's like the first time touching him. She shouldn't be surprised by how muscular he is. I'm bored, you're bored, we are all bored. I see it in the audience. Let's move on, please. I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna wrap it up. I really will wrap it up because I've been talking for over an hour. I'm sick of it. I want to eat my donuts and be happy. I want to be a happy person. I want to put this book behind me. Let's talk about the scenes and the real reason why people were like, oh my god, this book is so hot. This book is so... Y'all are depraved. All of y'all are depraved. I'm no shame to reading like erotica books and erotic romances, but this was done so poorly. It was weird. It was like an alien, like a stupid alien, pretending to be a human, writing a book for humans, pretending to know what goes on between humans in a sexual sense. It was weird. And this is where I say Adam's character really took a turn for me, because if you read the book, I'm not gonna read the scenes, but a lot of his like dialogue, a lot of the things he says and a lot of the things he does are very reminiscent of a coercive person and a coercive partner in sexual scenarios. All the scenes are so awkward, are so uncomfortable to read. You really need to like put it down and take a step back and regroup, regather, and come back. And that's not the type of regrouping I like to do. When I read a book and I have to put it down, I'm excited to do that and like take a step back. When I feel like this book is so good, like I need to take a step back. But no, the opposite was happening. It was, this book is so bad, I need to put it down and step away. Preferably not return. Tom Benton tries to come on Olive. Is that the saying? He tries to hit on her, blackmail her basically, to give her a spot in his lab if she'll like sleep with him or something. It's almost like he was blackmailing Olive for being with Adam, and he wanted the same benefits in order to get her ahead or something. But she didn't want to tell Adam because she was scared that, you know, she would ruin the image that Adam had of his friend Tom. She finally tells Anne that she fake dated Carlson. So Anne is like, but you kissed him. And then she was like, because of you, basically. And then she's like, but you sat in his lap. And it's because you forced me to. And she was like, because you put sunscreen on him. Only because you forced me to. When Anne is like apologizing for forcing her or whatever, she says, and I am incredibly flattered that you do something like that for me. I mean, it was misguided and ridiculous and needlessly convoluted. And you're a living, breathing rom-com trope machine. You know that. The author is aware. I'm glad we have some self-awareness. Maybe the next time we can get better? Okay. Guys, I'm done. Motishita, okay? Motishita, I'm done. Overall, I think the only thing I can say positively about this book was that it did paint a pretty realistic image of academia and how it is like in research and being a grad student. I think it was kind of accurate. It showed the imbalances in power dynamics, how some professors will treat their grad students if they don't do everything perfectly, how hard it is to get funding. I also thought that Adam was a wuss. You're telling me that you had a crush on this girl and the only way you thought you could get with her was to like fake pretend to be her boyfriend? Like, what would have happened if she didn't do that? You would have just been quiet for the rest of the time? Like, that's so weird, I feel like. If I liked someone, I wouldn't hope and pray and wish that out of some random error they would happen to kiss me and we would happen to fake date and be together. That is weird. I would just tell the person that I like them. But that's just me. I understand people aren't like that. Especially as a 30-something-year-old man. Dating someone much younger. Also, that is the end of my video. I'm going to go and eat my donuts, my well-deserved donuts, I might add, and pick up my package, and that is it. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any thoughts on this book, let me know, because I can't be the only one who has these issues. I hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!